Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, madam. My name is Hizani binti Badrul Hisham. So for today, we would like to present about our chapters, which is consists of two subtopics. Which is the first topic is organizational structure, and the second topic is organizational culture. So at first we would like to present about organizational structure, and this is our group members. As I mentioned just now, my name is Syuzaini binti Barisham, and my other partner
My name
is
is
Nik.
Nik Jasmira with Jamaluddin.
Okay, hi, my name is Syuzaini binti Abdul Halim.
Okay, this is a learning objective. Okay, we get the learning objective from the previous slide, which is the original slide, and then we just cut, copy, and paste in our new slide, because we make this slide based on the objectives. So, actually, madam, for your information, we just customize the slide, and you can press the button, the good button, so that if you press the button, it will bring you to the slide that you want to know more. Okay, so that's all. Okay, I would like to present about elements in organizational structure. So actually, madam, in the previous slide, I just got there are a total of 7 elements in organizational structure, but when I refer to the book, it just saying that there are only 6 elements, but it's okay. Maybe there is another element, but I think I refer this matter to you, but it's okay. I just put 6 elements, which is they are already in the book: work specialization, departmentalization, chain of command, formalization, centralization, and decentralization, and span of control. So I will briefly present the point after this. So, before we go through the elements, we have to know what is the organizational structure. So, organizational structure is defines how jobs are formally divided, grouped, and coordinated. So, basically, we will we always see the situation in the office, or even in the restaurant, like how the work are being divided uh, according to the position. So yeah, that's we call organizational structure. So for the first element that we have to know is work specialization. Okay, specialization means the division of labor into separate activities, which is like commonly how the manager divided the employees into their job scope and activities. So actually, the dividing activities is we call work specialization. Next. Okay. So this is a departmentalization. Okay, departmentalization, as you commonly know, department, which is we grouping jobs together so common tasks can be coordinated, like how the manager grouping the grouping the employees. There are many employees, and how the manager group those employees so that they will handling their tasks according to the job specification. So that's how the departmentalization role occur. So if you see, actually the employees will group by the manager according to their function performed and the type of product or service the organization produce. So if you produce a bakery product, then you have to work in a cold kitchen. So if you produce hot cooking product, then you have to work in a hot cooking section. So that's how the departmentalization occur. And then by geography and process difference and by type of customer. So that thing is a basic thing that manager has to think before they group their employees. Next. So commonly, every industry have chain of command. As long as we have a top manager, we have top management, then chain of command will occur. Basically, it is up or down or uh, basically it's up or down lah. So there are two aspects of chain of command, which is authority and unity of command. So for the authority, it refers to the right inherent in managerial position to give orders and expect to be obeyed. So it means that in a company, if there's only one leader that always give the employee instruction what to do and how to do it. So all the tasks are 100% on the one and only boss. So chain of command, however, today it is less relevant because there is a presence of technology and people they have knowledge. So chain of command is lessly relevant today. And then it is also because employees can make their decision. Uh, Employees can make their decision for the management, and also there are also a manager that they are more comfortable. Okay, so today, so this slide is span of control. Okay, span of control is represent how many employees manager had to control or responsible in organization. So let's say if you are a chef, you are an executive chef, you have to supervise chef de partie, sous chef, staff, steward. So for the position of executive chef, you have many employees that you have to supervise. So that's the process. The supervision of chef executive to the employees is known as span of control. So what did I know about span of control is the more narrow the span of control, the more effective the manager or leader can focus hands on to the specific employees, because you don't have any other employees that you have to focus. You just have to focus only one department. So that's why you can effectively manage the employees. But there's also as consequences. The manager that supervise a small group of team, usually they will spend a higher cost, because it just have because the manager had to focus on one employees. So there are many costing, I mean an expensive benefit that you have to spend for the employees under you. So that will be huge loss. Yes, that will be a huge amount of loss. Okay, centralization and decentralization. Okay, actually, for your information, madam, in previous slide, which is in original slide, there is a very few exposure about centralization, but it is okay, because when I refer to the book, it also give a wide a wide exposure. It give more exposure to decentralization, but so it's okay. So in this slide, I just put more input to the centralization and decentralization as well. So centralization means degree to which decision making is concentrated at a single point in the organization, which is mean the employees, a team or employees in an organization will only receive instruction from only one boss or a manager only. So that's is centralization. And then more concept, if you are in a company, maybe a various department, there are 5 departments, and all departments also depends on headquarters, so that there is also example of centralization. Okay, so decentralization is decision making is pushed down to the manager close to the action or to the work group, which is mean the boss. If I am the boss, I will delegate the task of supervise the IT or R&D will be given to the specialized under my control, and the specialized will delegate their task to the employees under them. So that's what decentralization means. But in today most industry use decentralization because most of the manager, they believe that the employees also have right to speech, has also have right to making decision, but in a proper manner. Okay, so formalization. So as we know the words formal, so actually the words formal are related to the something that have rules and regulations. So same thing happen to organization. So formalization means the degree to which job within the design organization are standardized. So if we were in KFC, they already have their own set rules and regulation that you have to follow. So that is formalization. And it also include explicit job description, lots of organizational rules, and clearly defined procedure. So the employees had to follow the rules, and also they are really quite low of freedom, but that will be managed by the manager in specific department. So also in the company, they also have low formalization. So which is if the formalization is become lower, that means the employees are free to do whatever they want. Means still in their job scope, but they have no restrict time, or they have no restrict they have no restrict of what they want to do within their work. So yeah, so low formalization also means a freedom for what they want to do. Okay, lastly is boundary spanning. So boundary spanning means boundary spanning usually occur when individuals form a relationship with people outside their formality design group, which is mean for example, if I am an HR manager, I can collaborate with IT teams in a member of R&D teams. Mean if the company wants to develop a high R&D team, so of course the team also, were not only specific to scientific person, they also can be HR, they also can be IT. So those skills will be gathered and form another team, which is R&D team. Okay, so so the result will be a huge positive result, because different high skills between the team will contribute to more accurate and more perfect product. Okay, so organizational framework, which is same as organizational structure, which consists only 3 types. Actually there are many types, but in a syllabus maybe they emphasize on 3 types only. So the first is simple structure, bureaucracy, the second is bureaucracy structure, and the third is matrix structure. So I will explain a lot after this. Okay, so simple structure. So as the word itself means simple, so it means that the manager and the owner are one and the same, which is the owner is the manager and the manager is the owner, which is mean they delegate the task, they give instruction, they do the work sometimes, but mostly they run everything is in the shoulder. So they just give instruction to the employees to do what they can, and for the management or administration, maybe the top management or the boss will handle all the things that related to admins, maybe account, maybe the boss will do the account, at the same time do the HR, at the same time do so many things, because all of the work are on his or her shoulder only. So when this happen in simple structure, normally there's a low degree of departmentalization, because there's no specific group that they want to assist, and wide spans of control, because they have to control all the things and employees. And then it more to when come to the chain of command, it more to the centralized, yeah, because it's just a single person that give instruction and do the work. But simple structure is fast, flexible, inexpensive, and clear accountability, because there's just one person that do the thing. So when they want to develop a new product, so usually a simple product, and that thing is just handled by the boss, so the employees is just making more product like that. And then it increasingly inadequate, but nowadays simple structure is increasingly inadequate, because there is a low formalization, because there is no rules and regulation, you just work under him or her. So there is a low formalization, and then information overload, because what I mentioned just now is the manager or the boss had to rely on his or her shoulder, and slower decision making, because the boss also a human, they also need time to make a decision making. Okay, so bureaucracy structure. So I will explain more about bureaucracy structure. Okay, so bureaucracy structure is in other words is varieties of people under one roof. So actually these employees are characterized by their standardization. Okay, and then there are 2 aspects of bureaucracy structure, which is functional structure and divisional structure. So functional structure is a common structure that always used by the management, because functional structure define groups employees by their similar specialties, roles, or tasks. Because for example, if I am expert on making pastries, so maybe I will be grouped with a person that have talented on pastries. So together with me or my partner, we will be a cold kitchen team. So that's mean by functional structure. And divisional structure is a group employees into units by product, service, customer service, or geographical market. So means some of the company, they group the employees within their sometimes with their sometimes with their places that they have stay. So whenever for example Starbucks have many branches all over Malaysia. So if I am from Terengganu, wants to work in a Starbucks that located in KL is not relevant. So the manager maybe will assist you in grouping you into to work at Starbucks that have branches in Terengganu. So that's the example. Okay, so actually bureaucracy structure have many people in one roof, so they are highly routine operating tasks and very formalized rules and regulation because they have more employees. Tasks grouped into functional departments, centralized authority, narrow spans of control, and decision making that follows the chain of command. Yeah, because if we think logically, a company that have established company that have more employees under the company will also have narrow span of control, have highly routine tasks, very formalized, because those characteristics will make the business will mirroring the business recognition and business service and product. Okay, matrix structure is a combines of two form of departmentalization, which is functional and product. So usually in a company they have two main departments, which is focus on the product, and another one is focus on other things such as functional or service or any other things. So matrix structure is a company that combine those two departmentalization. So there are two types, which is functional structure and divisional structure. Functional structure is the employees are similar to specialties, roles, or tasks. And divisional structure is a group of employees into units by product, service, customer, and geographical market. So there are two aspects of matrix structure, where the aspects are combined together, so there will be a positive result in the company. So that's why it said the strength of functional is putting specialists together. So if I'm expert on pastry and my partner are expert on hot cooking, so together we can make a new product that are very acceptable by customers. So that thing can bring business recognition. So it is a positive result, and it provides clear responsibility for all activities related to product, but with duplication of activities and costs.
In the ever-increasing trend toward flatter structure, many organizations have been developing new options of fewer layers of hierarchy and more emphasis on opening the boundaries of the organization. In this section, I will describe three such designs, which is the virtual structure, the team structure, and the circular structure. The virtual organizations. The essence of the virtual structure, also sometimes called the network or molecular. Typically, it is a small core organization that outsources its major business function. The virtual structure is highly centralized and with little or no departmentalizations. So in this slide, I have added YouTube link for addition information about virtual organization. Figure shows a virtual structure in which management outsources all the primary function of the business. The core of the organization is a small group of executives whose job is to oversee directly any activity done in-house and to coordinate relationship with organizations that manufacture, distribute, and perform other crucial functions. The dotted line represents the relationship typically maintained under contract. Managers in virtual structure spend most of their time coordinating and controlling external relations. Next, the team structure. The team structure seeks to eliminate the change of commands and replace departments with empowered teams. The structure removes vertical and horizontal boundaries in addition to breaking down external barriers between the company and its customer and supplier. The circular structure. In the center of the executive and the radiating outward in ring group by function are the managers and then the specialists, then the worker. Next, I will explain the effects of downsizing of organization structure and employees. The linear organization downsizing. The goal of some organization structure we have described is to improve agility by creating a lean, focused, and flexible organization. Downsizing is a systematic effort to make an organization leaner by closing location, reduce staff, or selling off business units that don't add value. Here are some effective strategies for downsizing. First, invest. Companies that downsize to focus on core competencies are more effective when they invest in high involvement work practice afterward. Second, communicate. When employers make effort to discuss downsizing with employers earlier, employees are less worried about their outcome and feel the company is taking their perspective into account. Third, participate. Employees worry less if they can participate in the process in some way. Voluntary early retirement program or severance package can help achieve leanness without layoff. Lastly, assist. Severance, extended healthcare benefit, and job search assistance demonstrate that a company cares about the employees and honors their contribution.
Okay, this is my turn, which is mechanistic and organic model. Okay, first, mechanistic model is a structure characterized by extensive departmentalization, high formalization, and limited information network and centralization. An organic model is a structure that is flat, used cross-hierarchical, and cross-function teams, has low formalization, possesses a comprehensive information network, and relies on participative decision-making. So, as you can see, at this slide, we have two types of model, which is mechanistic model and organic model. For mechanistic model, we separate that they have high specialization, rigid departmentalization, clear chain of command, narrow span of control, centralization, and high formalization. For organic model, that we can see here, cross-functional team, cross-hierarchical hierarchical team, free flow of information, wide span of control, decentralization, and low formalization. So, for the organic model, they work like a team, and mechanistic model, we separate for department by department. Okay, now we have two different structure, mechanistic and organic structure, which is first, for mechanistic, we have individual specialization, which is employee work separately and specialization in one task. For organic, they join specialization, which is employee work together and coordinate tasks. Okay, next for mechanistic, for standardization, which is the extensive use made of rule and stand operating producer, while organic, mutual adjustment, which is face-to-face contact for coordination. Work process tend to be unpredictable. Next, for simple integrating mechanism, which is hierarchy of authority well defined, while for organic, we have complex integrating mechanism, which is task force and team are primary integrating mechanism. And for the last is centralization, which is decision making keep as high as possible and most communication vertical, while organic decentralization, which is authority to control tasks, is delegate most communication lateral. Okay, next we have strategy framework, have three dimension, which is we have innovation strategy, we have cost minimization strategy, and imitation strategy. Okay, first, innovation strategy is a strategy that emphasizes the introduction of major new product and service. Okay, for the cost minimization strategy is a strategy that emphasizes tight cost, control, avoidance of unnecessary innovation or marketing expenses, and price cutting. Okay, for the limitation strategy is a strategy that seek to move into new product market and after their viability has already been proved. Okay, for the strategy structure relationship, okay, for innovation strategy, the structure relationship is organic, a loose structure, and they are low specialization, low formalization, and decentralization. Okay, for cost minimization strategy, the related with mechanistic, which is tight control, intensive work, specialization, high formalization, high centralization. For imitation strategy, they have related for both mechanistic and organic, which is a mix of loose with the tight properties, tight control over current activities, and looser control of new. Okay, for the next slide, this is an organization strategy that we have organization size, which is the organization that employ 2,000 or more people to tend to have more specialization, more departmentalization, more vertical level, more rules and regulation than do small organization. Okay, the impact of size become less important as an organization expand. Okay, next, for technology, the way an organization transfer inputs into output. Every organization has at least one technology for converting financial and human and physical resource into product of service. Okay, for the environment, we have an organization environment include outside institution or forces that can affect its performance. Example, supplier, customer, competitor, public pressure group. Okay. For next, dynamic environment creates significantly more uncertainty for manager than two static ones. Okay. Any organization environment has three dimensions, which is capacity, velocity, velocity. Okay. Any organization environment has three dimensions, which is capacity, volatility, and complexity. So, to know more about capacity, volatility, and complementarity, you can click at dimension and they will describe about the definition. Okay, for next, it is institution, which is culture factor, especially those that might not lead to adaptive consequence that lead many organizations to have similar structure. Another factor that shape organization structure is institution, is regulatory pressure, simple inertia, culture, fat, or trends. So this is a three-dimension organization environment that I tell before. Okay, I will go for the next is okay. So I will go to the next is organization design and employee behavior. Okay, an organization structure can have significant effect on its member. It's impossible to generalize. Not everyone prefers the freedom and flexibility of organic structure. Next, some people are most productive and satisfied when work tasks are standardized and ambiguity minimized. Okay, we have for organization design and employee behavior, which is work specialization contribute to higher employee productivity. National culture influence the preference for structure. We have fairly strong evidence linked centralization and job satisfaction, meaning that less centralization is associated with high certification. And next is no evidence support a relationship between span of control and employee satisfaction or performance. Okay. So that's all for topic foundation of organization structure. So I will present for 15.2, which is okay, I will present about organization culture. First, okay, in learning objective, we have a common characteristic of organization culture, and we have functional and the functional effect of organization culture, factor that create and sustain an organization culture, how culture is transmitted to employee, similarities and different in creating ethical culture, positive culture, and experiential culture. And last one is how natural culture can affect the way organization culture is transported to another country. So the characteristic of organization culture. Okay, definition of organization culture, which is a system of shared meaning held by member that distinguishes that organization from other organization. Okay, for the characteristic organization culture, we have 6, which is adaptability, detail orientation, result or outcome orientation, people orientation, collaboration, team orientation, and integrity. So this is a elaboration for primary characteristic, which is that organization culture punya characteristic. Okay, for adaptability, which is the degree to which employees are encouraged to be innovative and flexible as well as to take risks and experiment. For the retail orientation, which is employees are expected to exhibit precocious analysis and attention to detail. For the result orientation, the management focus on result or outcome rather than on the technique and process used to achieve the plan. Next, for the people orientation, the management decisions consider the effect of outcome on people within and outside the organization. For the collaboration, work activities are organized around team rather than individual. And last one is integrity, that people exhibit integrity and high ethical standard of their work. So next, for the culture framework group organization, we have four, which is the clan, the hierarchy, the market, the hierarchy. Okay, for the clan, a culture based on human affiliation, employee value, attachment, collaboration, trust, and support. For the hierarchy, is culture based on a change, employees value growth, variety, attention to detail, simulation, and autonomy. And for the marketing, for the market, a culture based on achievement, employee value communication, competence, and competition. And the last one is the hierarchy, which is a culture based on stability, employee value communication, formalization, and routine. Okay, next is a culture as a descriptive term, which is organization culture is concerned with employees' perception of the characteristic of the culture, not whether that like them. Like, does it encourage teamwork? Does it reward innovation? Does it stifle innovation? It's differ from job satisfaction, which is job satisfaction is evaluative and organization culture is descriptive. Okay, the organization have uniform culture. Most organizations have a dominant culture and numerous set of subculture. The dominant culture expresses the core value a majority of members share and that give the organization distinct personality. Next, for the subculture tend to develop in large organizations to reflect common problem, situation or experience that members face. For the strong versus weak culture, the strong culture is a core value are intensely held and widely shared. And the more members who accept the core value and the greater their commitment, the stronger the culture and the greater its influence on member behavior. Next is 15.2, which is compare functional and dysfunctional effect of organization culture. Okay, next, the question is, what do culture do? Okay, the culture do is first the function of culture and innovation, culture create climate, culture as an asset, the ethical dimension of culture as a liability, and culture and sustainability. Okay, first for the function of culture, boundary defining role, which is its correct destination between organization. Then it convey a sense of identity for organization member. Then the culture facilitated commitment to something larger than individual self-interest. And the last one is it enhance the stability of the social system. For the culture and innovation, the most innovative companies have open unconventional, collaborative, vision-driven, and accelerating culture. Next, startup firms often have innovative culture. They are usually small, agile, and focus on solving problems in order to survive and grow. For the culture climate, organization climate, they share perception about the organization and work environment, like team spirit at the organization level. Next, climate can interact with one another to produce behavior. And last one is climate also influence the habit people adopt. For a culture as an asset, the culture can significantly contribute an organization bottom line in many ways. Then there are many more cases of business success story because of excellent organization culture. Then there are of success story despite bad culture, and almost no success story because of bad one. Okay, for the ethical dimension of culture, the organization culture are not neutral in their ethical orientation, even when they are not openly pursuing ethical goal. Over time, the ethical culture or the shared concept of right and wrong behavior in that workplace develop as part of the organization climate. Then, the ethical climate reflect the true value of the organization and shape the ethical decision making of its member. Next, the ethical climate theory, ECT, and the ethical climate index ECI categories and measure the ethical dimension of organization culture. 5 climate categories which instrument, querying, independent, law, and code and rules. Each explain the general mindset, expectation, and value of the manager and employee in relationship to their organization. For the culture and sustainability, practice that can be maintained over very long periods of time because the tool or structure that support the practice are not damaged by the process. Social sustainability practice, sustainable management doesn't need to be altruistic. Next, the create a truly sustainable business. An organization must develop a long-term culture and put its value into practice. Like other culture practice we have discussed, sustainability need to time and nurturing to grow. And the last one is institutionalization. They have barrier, the barrier to change, barrier to diversity, toxicity and defension, and barriers to acquisition and mergers.
So just now we know how the culture are created, but how we can survive in such a culture in organization. So there are 3 ways, which is we can consider from selection, and then the role of top management, and 3 is socialization process. So the selection is where the founders hire employees. So the employees will slowly, gradually adapt to the environment. So the process of selection is new. Is very normal to new employees. And then the top management will they already established a new norm for the new employees, will slowly educate them to adapt to the environment, to the company's environment. So the new employees will adapt. And then there are socialization model. Socialization model is the process of the new employees, how they adapt to become more competent and become more fully adapted to the cultures. I will explain after this. Okay, so culture creation occurs in 3 ways. So first, as I mentioned, founders hire employees who think and feel the way they do, which is take example as Sushi King. They hired a Malaysian or a local people to work under them. So that's how the culture creates between them. The culture occur, and employees are indoctrined and socialized into founders' way of thinking. Means employees that manage to be hired by Sushi King, they are being exposed so many culture about Japanese culture. So the Malaysian employees, they also have to fit well in the organization in order to sustain in the business. So the local employees had to adapt the Japanese culture, the Japanese way of cooking in Sushi King. So slowly, founders' own behavior encourage employees to identify with them and internalize their belief, values, and assumptions. Means whatever assumption that whatever belief or assumption or stories made by the within employees, when they cope with the founders, they fully utilize, they are fully aware about the culture. So that's how the culture creates in organization. So just now we know how the culture are created, but how we can survive in such a culture in organization. So there are 3 ways, which is we can consider from selection, and then the role of top management, and 3 is socialization process. So the selection is where the founders hire employees. So the employees will slowly, gradually adapt to the environment. So the process of selection is new. Is very normal to new employees. And then the top management will they already established a new norm for the new employees, will slowly educate them to adapt to the environment, to the company's environment. So the new employees will adapt, and then there are socialization model. Socialization model is the process of the new employees, how they adapt to become more competent and become more fully adapted to the cultures. I will explain after this. So this is the detail about socialization process, which is if you are a new employee, you will be arrived at pre-arrival, which is mean each individual with set of values, attitudes, and expectation of work. Because if take an example, if I'm going to work at Sushi King company, I expect a lot about culture, about Japanese culture, about Japanese food, new method of cooking. So that's normal, and then I will be gradually I will be adapt to encounter phase, which is confronts the possibility that job expectation and reality is different, which is I have to accept the fact that actually what I'm expecting working at Sushi King is really differ to the reality is. Maybe the term of the culture itself, maybe Sushi King success in mirroring their culture, their Japanese culture. But when I working at Sushi King, maybe there are several things that are expected, but it's not really what I get, and it's not the same what I expect. So that is a encounter stage. And then slowly I develop to metamorphosis. Metamorphosis stage is a new employees change and adjust to the job, work group, and organization, which is this is the metamorphosis phase. Is a phase that new employees gradually adapt to the job, adjust what is not going right, and how he or she managed to work in a group, adjust what something wrong. And so yeah, that is the process of metamorphosis, which is the process of fully adapting to the culture. Okay, so how culture transmit to employees? So during socialization process, there will be a four types of culture that actually is transmit without our realization. The culture slowly transmit from other person to new employees. So the first thing is stories, because usually when we work in company, we will hear a lot of stories about the company, about the boss, about the worker, or even the employees itself. Told us a story about how she get here, how she work here, so is it okay. So that's is the process that culture actually transmit from the former employees to new employees. Okay, and then ritual is not ritual is not like I mean ritual is a repetitive sequence, means if you are not familiar to the IT gadget, and then by the time you working there, you work there, if you every day you make IT, you make IT product, and then you will become familiar with the IT technologies. So that is the form of rituals, which is mere repetitive sequence of activities that express and reinforce the key values of organization, which is every day you make the same activity. So that is a culture. And then symbols also known as artifacts. So this not symbols is not like they transmit symbols, bird symbols, or no, is symbols is mean if you sometimes you will realize how the top management appear in your companies, their car, their assets, their their personality, like how they're dressing. So that is a symbol. That become a symbol, like how employees perception towards the top management. So that is a symbol. And then a language means the uses of language, such as I'm sorry, it's okay, hi, hello. It's is an impression that describe language, that describe how the culture transmit. If you are really a talkative, you are outspoken, and then you have many language, the stories itself, if you hear a stories, so then the language transmit into ourself and automatically reflects our culture. So that's how the culture transmit to ourselves in company.
In this session, I will explain the similarities and differences in creating an ethical culture, a positive culture, and a spiritual culture. Ethical culture. The management can create a more ethical culture with be a visible role model, communicate ethical expectation, provide ethnic training, visibly rewards ethical acts and punish unethical ones, and provide protective mechanism. Positive culture. There is a trend today for organizations to attempt to create a positive organizational culture by emphasize building for employee strength, rewards more than it punish, and emphasize individual vitality growth. spiritual culture. Workplace spirituality is not about organized religious practice. It's not about God or theology. Workplace spirituality recognizes that people have an inner life that nourish is meaningful work in the context of community. The reason for growing interest in spirituality. Spirituality can counterbalance the pressure and stress of a turbulent pace of life. Furthermore, formalized religion hasn't worked for many peoples, and they continue to look for anchors to replace lack of faith and feel a growing feeling of emptiness. Moreover, job demands have made the workplace dominant in many people's life, yet they continue to question the meaning of work. Next, people want to integrate personal life value with their professional life. Lastly, an increasing number of people are finding that the pursuit of more material acquisitions leave them unfulfilled. The characteristic of a spiritual organization. First, benevolence. Spiritual organizations value kindness toward others and the happiness of employees and other organizational stakeholders. Secondly, strong sense of purpose. Spiritual organizations build their culture around a meaningful purpose. Although profits may be important, they are not the primary value. Next, trust and respect. Spiritual organizations are characterized by mutual trust, honesty, and openness. Employees are treated with esteem and value consistent with the dignity of each individual. Lastly, open-minded. Spiritual organizations value flexible thinking and creativity among employees. Identify characteristics of a spiritual culture. First, achieving a spiritual organization. Many organizations have grown interested in spirituality but have had difficulty putting its principle into practice. Leaders can demonstrate value, attitude, and behavior that trigger intrinsic motivations and a sense of calling through work. Next, encouraging employees to consider how their work provide a sense of purpose through community building also can help achieve a spiritual workplace. Critics of spirituality in organizations focus on: first, the question of scientific foundation. What really is workplace spirituality? Second, are spiritual organizations legitimate? Do organizations have the right to impose spiritual value on their employees? Third, the question of economic. Are spirituality and profit compatible? In this session, I will explain on how national culture can affect the way organizational culture is transported to another country. The global context. Organizational culture often reflects national culture. Next, one of the primary things US managers can do is to be culturally sensitive. Lastly, the management of ethical behavior is one area where national culture can rub up against corporate culture. The figures show on how organizational culture have an impact of employees' performance and satisfaction. Implications for managers. Realize that an organization's culture is relatively fixed in the short term. To affect change, involve top management and strategize a long-term plan. Second, hire individuals whose values align with those of the organization. These employees will tend to remain committed and satisfied. Not surprisingly, misfits have considerably higher turnover rates. Third, understand that employees' performance and socializations depend to a considerable degree on their knowing what to do and what not to do. Train your employees well and keep them informed of change to their job roles. Next, you can shape the culture of your work environment. sometimes as much as it shapes you. All managers can do their part to create an ethical culture and to consider spirituality and its role in creating a positive organizational culture. Lastly, be aware that your company organization culture may not be transported easily to other countries. Understand the cultural relevance of your organization norms before introduce new plans or initiative overseas.